Who says nothing good ever comes out of Auburn?
You are Locked On Bama, your daily podcast on the Alabama Crimson Tide. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, everybody, and welcome back into Locked On Bama. Luke Robinson, that's me. Jimmy Stein, that's him. This episode is brought to you by LinkedIn, and thank you for making this your first listen every single day. Jimmy, in the world of transfer portal news, Alabama got Aiden Holloway, who was a very ballyhooed recruit for Auburn the previous year. He did not have the best year that any freshman's ever had. I think he had a better year than people want to give him credit for because everybody has unreasonable expectations. He has now committed to Alabama. It has raised the ire of several Auburn fans, and he took some not so veiled but maybe misconstrued shots at Bruce Pearl on the way out. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I have a lot. Exactly with what you said about the expectations. His freshman year was better. I mean, he had a really good freshman year. He just didn't have a great year for someone whose idea of a freshman year is Brandon Miller or what Michigan did with the Fab Five 30 years ago. That if that's your idea of a good freshman year, then yeah, you're going to be pretty disappointed in Aiden Holloway. But overall, it was really good. In fact, I even saw a real stat that his assist to turnover ratio, considering the minutes he played, was like the second best freshman year in SEC history. So there was some good going on out there, no doubt. But I also think before Alabama fans start, making reservations for next year's Final Four, keep in mind that Aiden Holloway, Auburn went and got a point guard out of the portal. I mean, they were so not convinced that Aiden Holloway was their starting point guard that they went to the portal and got one, knowing that the response was that Aiden Holloway and Trey Donaldson were probably going to walk out the door. And they did. Now, they didn't push him out. They didn't want him out. They just wanted him to compete with the point guard they were bringing in from the portal. And he chose not to do that. I think, Luke, what this is all about, 100% of the kid's choice and 100% of how this is going to work out for Alabama is about system fit. Auburn runs a different offense and defense than Alabama. Alabama runs a different offense and defense than Auburn. It's thought that Aiden Holloway will be a better fit in what Alabama does than what Auburn does, and that he'll be a better player at Alabama than he was at Auburn due to system fit. And we need to hope for that, obviously, because, again, it's not like this kid said, I don't like the losing around here. I don't like the Yale thing. I'm going to go play for that Final Four team. That's not what happened at all. It was just Auburn went and got a point guard out of the portal that they thought was possibly a better fit for what they do. And Aiden Holloway looked at the way Alabama played, and Nate Oates looked at the way Aiden Holloway's skill set is and felt, you know what? This could be a pretty good marriage here. Our system and your skill set probably better fit for you than what they were doing over there at Auburn. So I think that's the explanation for it in a nutshell. It wasn't 100% NIL. It wasn't 100% I'm ditching the Yale loss for the Final Four team. It wasn't that. It's about system fit.
Agreed, 100%. And I think it is a system fit thing. And look, sometimes, I know some Auburn fans wanted to go after Rylan Griffin. I mean, he's probably going to end up at Kansas. I wouldn't have hated Rylan Griffin. Yeah, I'd be like, I wish he wouldn't go to Auburn. I wouldn't have hated him. And
once he left, he left.
And again, I wouldn't hate him any more than anybody who's typically on their team. I don't hate Corey Grant. I just don't. I'm like, Corey Grant Alabama recruited him as a DB. Auburn said, we'll use you as a running back. And then he had a little career in the NFL, mostly as a return guy, I felt like. I mean, I know he played some running back too, but, fine. Again, you have to go do what's best for you. And the clutching of pearls by some Auburn fans about this seems a little bit much, except Aiden Holloway did make mention. I'm going to look up what he actually said. He said he got sold a dream at Auburn. Now, let me say this. I think that's what you're supposed to do is sell them on a dream to try and recruit.
Part of recruiting. Yeah.
I get why that would light a fire under some tookuses. I get it. But it's also how you want to interpret it. I think he probably could have just not said that. That would have been better. Again, though, I'm not saying this because I want to justify his coming to Alabama or whatever. Or I look at it like I'm all on his side for doing what he wants to do. I feel like when you say something like that, though, you are poking the bear a little bit or picking at a scab, and or it's not even a scab yet. But in the end, I'm pro Aiden Holloway being on this team. I said this
absolutely.
Before. I like him a lot. He's one of the guys that when Auburn when they sign one, I'm like, guys, I really want to find holes in this kid's game, but I think he's really good. And I think he is going to be better in this system. I do. Now, I mean, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he won't be. I mean, I'm not guaranteeing it. I'm just saying that if you told me, hey, you can pick somebody off of Auburn's team, I would pick Aiden Holloway and maybe Janai Broom. You know what I'm saying? Those are two dudes that I wouldn't mind having on my squad.
No, I get that entirely. And I think the ideal, I mean, if this works out perfectly for Alabama, in my opinion, it would be Mark Sears returning and Aiden Holloway playing two roles. One as a backup to Mark, so we're not forcing Mark to play 40 minutes a game. I think Mark might be more effective at like 32 minutes a game. And Aiden Holloway, you give him about 8 minutes of, hey, I got this for 8 minutes, and then have another maybe 10 minutes of the game where they're on the court at the same time, and you got two great ball handlers, and maybe Mark can concentrate more on scoring from the two-guard spot while Aiden runs the point. I think that would be ideal. I do worry based on, hey, it's a new system. He is still a young player, as a true sophomore. He's just gotten here. If Aiden Holloway is our 30-plus minute a game point guard next season, I mean, let's see how we can handle that. I mean, I think ideally Mark returns. And I know Alabama wants that to happen. Alabama would love for Mark Sears and Grant Nelson to return. We still haven't heard from Grant in terms of what his plans are, though most assume he's going to do what Mark did, enter the NBA draft process while retaining his college eligibility. Most assume that. But he hasn't said anything yet, nor is he in a rush to do so.
Yeah, and I feel much better about Mark Sears potentially coming back. I do. I say I feel much better. Now I feel like his 60-40 comes back versus
60-40 comes back. That's how you feel?
That's how I feel right now.
60-40 comes back.
And let me tell you, this is not me just guessing. This is some educated guessing. But I heard a comedian the other day go, I hate it when people say educated guess. What the heck's an uneducated guess? If somebody says, hey, what's the weather outside? And you say carrots. And he goes, well, that's not a unit of measurement or of what we're talking about. He goes, well, I'm taking I'm not educated.
I read sports social media all day. I see a lot of uneducated guesses.
No, this is me.
No, this is you. This is you not just picking numbers out of the air. This is you.
Correct.
It's a guess based on information that you trust.
And also, when you say, I feel like it's 60-40, he could come back, that means there's a 40% chance he's not coming back. So I'm not a Luke guarantee, stamp that mother. No, this isn't what that is. But I feel better about it. And Jimmy, we're going to go ahead and talk about LinkedIn. But when we come back, I want to continue the basketball for just a minute. Then we're going to get into some football stuff right after that. Right now, though, I want to tell you about LinkedIn. You know I love LinkedIn. You do too. You don't lie. You know you do. It's okay. When you're hiring for your small business, you want to find quality professionals that are right for the role. That's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs has tools to help you find the right professionals for your team fast and for free. LinkedIn isn't just another job board. Job boards are everywhere. LinkedIn's different. LinkedIn helps you hire professionals you can't find anywhere else, even those who are actively searching for a new job, but might be open to the perfect role. In a given month, over 70% of LinkedIn users don't visit other leading job sites. So if you're not looking on LinkedIn, you're not looking in the right place, yo. LinkedIn knows that small businesses are wearing so many hats and might not have the time or the resources to hire. LinkedIn is constantly finding ways to make the process easier. They even launched a feature that helps you write job descriptions, making the process faster and quicker. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. Just linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. Terms and conditions, yep. Yeah. They're going to apply. All right. Continuing on with basketball for a minute. I mean, first of all, something you said about Aiden Holloway and Trey Donaldson from Auburn. I think both of them got in the portal before they got JP Pegues, I believe.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
But I know what you're saying, because I think Bruce and the staff had told, hey, look, we're going to go get us another point, and
that's my understanding of the situation.
And frankly, I don't think that's necessarily what pushed either one of these guys out. Maybe Trey Donaldson, because maybe Trey's like, hey, I've earned the right to try and win this starting role, maybe. But I feel like Aiden Holloway may have been out the door anyway, because he was like, this isn't working for me. I need something else. And especially, and that's where when you say things like, I got sold a bill of goods, or I got sold a dream at Auburn, getting another point guard or not was not going to affect the way he felt about that. So it was bad mojo for the team. So I feel like he was probably out. Now, when you add in the Youngblood kid that's coming in for Alabama, because see, again, he sort of he can do a little point. He can do some shooting. He can, play a few different roles. That didn't scare Aiden Holloway. It's not Aiden Holloway and scared that Mark Sears potentially could come back. So I feel like,
he obviously knows that's a real possibility. And frankly, as much as our educated guesses are, Aiden Holloway would know a little bit more than us in terms of but I also am of this opinion all the time. And of course, I don't talk to Mark either, but I would think there's a good chance right now as we sit here, Mark doesn't know. I mean, Mark might have an idea. Mark might say, hey, this is my plan. But I think once he gets in front of NBA people and has discussions with with potential employers, his plans may change one way or the other. I just don't think Mark knows what's going to happen, and that's okay.
I'm with you. And look, again, I'm going to say this. I think there is value in Mark Sears coming back to Alabama. He's legit an Alabama dude now. First of all, he's from the state, but I know he spent 2 years at Ohio, but it wasn't like he's transferring in for 1 year and then takes off. He will now have been at Alabama for 3 years. He is the single season scoring leader. He led the team to their first Final Four ever. He's won an SEC championship, an SEC basketball tournament championship. Again, been to the Sweet 16 1 year, Final Four at another. Come back next year, you got to feel like they will be one of the favorites to win the league and a top 10 squad to start out with. I mean, he goes down as a hero, and if you don't make it in the NBA, you'll never have a problem finding a job in this state. So I think there's value in that to come back for him. And I also think there's value in the sense that Alabama's up their NIL offer to him. And that was one other thing I want to throw out about basketball is that it sounds like Nate Oates, apparently he told a group this the other day, maybe 2 days ago, that, look, we've sort of put the new arena on hold in a sense. We're going to get the new practice facility, and we're putting a lot of our money towards NIL. We sort of knew this, but it's different when they come out and say it. And I think that's the smart move. Look, I would like a new arena too. I know there's some people that still like Coleman. I'm not a huge fan of it. I'm okay with it, but I would rather I want a great team and a mediocre facility versus the best facility in the world and a team that can't keep up because we don't have any more NIL money.
The arena's for the fans. It was never for the players or recruits. And if you know what, now that they pay the player, now that the players are making six figures out there, the basketball players in particular, now that they're making that sort of money, let me ask, I mean, I'm sure not a lot of people listen to the show keep up with the NBA and free agency. And I know that in the NBA 30 arenas, none of them are hovels. No one's playing in an arena that's dilapidated. But has there ever been an NBA free agent that put at the top of his list, I'm not going to go play for X and X team because I don't like their arena. It stinks and they need to build a new one.
Yeah.
No, they go and play for the highest bidder. They play for whoever's paying them the most money. And the college kids are they're going to care about what they're paid. They're not going to care about that the gym was built in the 70s and looks like a airplane hangar. They're all going to say, yeah, I wish. It would be
We've been pretty successful in that airplane hangar, by the way. I mean,
yeah, it's the best Alabama's ever. We have the best program right now we've ever had recruiting at a higher level than we ever had. This is not a huge issue to the coaches or to the players we're recruiting or the players that are playing. It's a huge issue to the fans. And I'm not saying that we're not going to get a new arena. I believe we are going to have a new arena.
Eventually.
I just think we're just going to have to be patient about that. And it's not something that's going to happen tomorrow, but it is in the works. That's true.
Yeah, I think it's definitely true. And again, the way things are rolling right now, if Nate Oates says that, I think we say, okay, Nate, what you want,
whatever he wants, whatever he wants, and you know what he's going to want, NIL money, because it makes his job infinitely easier. Not the new arena. If you had no NIL money in a brand new stinking arena, we're going to finish in recruiting last.
Yeah, nobody's going to be like, I know they were like, Coach, somebody offered me $800,000. Yes, but have you seen the shine on this floor? You seen this clear coat? Yeah, it just doesn't work that way. All right, before we're going to get to some more football here too, want to give a shout out to the baseball team. Okay, the baseball team now in back-to-back weeks has played the number one team in the country. They went 3-3. You just can't ask for a lot more than that. I mean, look, yeah. We had Texas A&M on the ropes first game down, up 5-0, and they come back and beat us pretty good. And then the next game, they double us up, maybe like 18-9 or whatever the heck it was. Texas A&M's awesome, by the way. They might win the
national championship.
I almost said fantastic, and that may be good for A&M. They are
that might be a good word for them. Yeah, they might win the national championship. When I say might win the national championship, there's about 3 or maybe 4 SEC teams that look good enough to me to win the whole thing. No, Alabama's not one of them, but no one ever said that. But there's 3 or 4 teams that could win the national championship, and A&M's definitely one of them. Arkansas, Tennessee, maybe Kentucky.
And look, I just feel like this team deserves a little love. We're not going to spend a lot of time on this podcast talking about them. Most people, the vast majority, want us to talk football and sneak in some basketball. But I do think it's fair that when a team does this well, also a mild shout out to the gymnastics team. Yeah, they didn't win the national championship. They were in the top 6, right?
Yeah, definitely made it to what you would call the Elite Eight, the basketball version of the Elite Eight before losing, but they were better than number 8. I think they were probably the 5th or 6th best team in the country this year, and that's a great achievement. I know it's not what everyone would love to see, but it's a big deal. With gymnastics is a lot more competitive than it used to be. More teams, more girls.
All right, Jimmy, going to tell everybody about FanDuel, and then when we come back, going to talk a little Greedy Vance and also some Dawson Merritt visit. FanDuel. You love FanDuel just like you love LinkedIn, but this is FanDuel. It's playoff time in the NBA and NHL, and baseball's in full swing, and FanDuel is your place to get in on every game. There are 4 NBA games a day. Go download FanDuel today. You can get in on them. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets. That's guaranteed, yo. That's $150, win or lose. Bet on everything from slap shots to home runs to slam dunks, whatever you want. It's all on an app that's safe, secure, and easy to use. So what are you waiting for? Well, you're waiting for our last segment, but after that, what are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and make your first bet an automatic win. FanDuel, of course, is America's number one sportsbook. I know I've said this before, but it is pretty cool. When I went to Phoenix for the Final Four, FanDuel actually has like a betting facility inside of the Footprint Center where the Suns play. And so you can go bet on the game right there and then walk out, watch the game, then come back and get cash out. It's awesome.
That is. I realize that some people will be outraged by that, but the majority of people won't. And I think it's really cool. That's
it would have been
amazing times we're living in.
It would have been so unbelievable. And I don't guess you could do it because it's an NCAA thing, but it would have been that's why I think the Final Four should have been in the Footprint Center. And it would be great if you could just bet on the game right there. But I don't know.
Imagine having that at Alabama football where people could walk in at the gate. And the thing is, before game,
you think the bathroom line was long?
Fans of the team would overbet on Alabama ridiculously.
Oh
I mean,
my God. If we can ever bet on college football at the game, Jimmy, it's over.
which is why I can't. I mean, I'm not. I mean, I'm the first to admit. First of all, I'm not great at picking games. But secondly, I just couldn't. This is why I don't. This is why I don't. I mean, because I recognize what would happen. I get super optimistic before the games, and yeah, I mean, oh, we're favored by. What are we going to be favored over Western Kentucky?
30.
I think it might be more.
Okay.
But I think we're going to win the game right now. Right now, I'd say we're going to win that game somewhere around 41-7. I think that's kind of where we'll win, about 41-7. But if you ask me 10 minutes before kickoff, I'm going to say 55-3.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Jimmy, the beautiful thing about gambling on football, I mean, I took, I wasn't good at these things, but I took calculus at Alabama, and I took all those. I couldn't do any of that stuff now, by the way. But nothing made my math skills better than gambling. Nothing made me like I could add and subtract faster than any calculator, because I would know right off the bat. I would have teases, I would have parlays, I'd know exactly what needed to happen, and
it's a life skill.
That's why I will bet on football or basketball occasionally. I don't super enjoy it as much anymore. I just got too many other things to do. But when you do bet on a game, and like if Alabama's favored by 30, and let's say Western Kentucky picks up a scoop and score, like on a muff, on a fumble or whatever, and it's 7-0 at first, you're like, God, all right, I knew I shouldn't have bet on this. And you forget that there's still 59 minutes left in this mother. But anyway, Greedy Vance is a defensive back that's in the transfer portal from Florida State. Yeah, he seems pretty good player. I love defensive backs when they have the name like Greedy or Not Gonna Let You Catch It Johnson. I like those.
He's a good player, and he would help Alabama, I think, if it happens. We don't know right now this guy. All we know is Alabama's interested in Greedy Vance and would like to get him on campus and continue to kick the tires. But let's not go too far with how good Greedy Vance is. Here's one difficulty about Alabama in the spring portal that we probably don't consider enough, and now I think it's staring us in the face as a real reason. It takes a strange set of circumstances, almost Caden Proctor-like, for a starter somewhere in this country, a starter at a Power 5 school, to leave where they are. Why? Because why would Alabama be interested in someone else's backups? We're looking for a starter. Alabama would like an experienced corner to start opposite Damani Jackson. They'd like an experienced guy there. But why is, and I'm just going to name random schools, why is a starting corner at NC State or Syracuse or Cal or Kansas, why are they leaving to go play at Alabama where, guess what? They might not start because Zabian Brown and Zane Mincy and Jalen Mbakwe are there. There's no guarantee that they're going to keep their starting spot. And the only way they can get to the NFL in their minds is being on the field and starting. So it's just not easy to find, I think, in the spring portal that starter, because people that are really good enough, people that are good enough to be starters at Alabama probably aren't leaving where they are. Now Greedy Vance is a different situation. Here's a guy who's played a lot. He's started 5 games. When he's played pretty well. He's probably a guy that would start at Alabama at least to begin the season. But he's also not, people shouldn't overdo it. If he was super great, number one, he'd already be in the NFL because he's been draft eligible. And number two, Florida State would never let him leave or want him to leave. But Florida State's pretty set. They got 2 corners they like. They got Earl Little now, unfortunately, as a starting nickelback. They can, they're not begging Greedy. They're not emptying the NIL vault to keep Greedy Vance. And would he start at Alabama? Probably. Alabama wants him because they need some experience at corner. But it's just a good example of who's available. Alabama got Proctor because of some weird circumstances. He'd been here before and discovered, hey, I thought the grass was greener on the other side, but the grass was actually greener down there in that other spot. I'm going to go back to that pasture because the up here is just, not a good fit for me. So anyway, in terms of is Alabama going to get Greedy Vance, I don't know. It's a little early. Alabama would like to continue to kick the tires on Greedy Vance, and they continue to look for a tackle and a corner. But it's got to be someone better than they've got, and it's got to be someone willing to leave where they are.
All right, and Dawson Merritt, another linebacker from Kansas, fantastic player that visited Alabama this weekend. What's the news?
Watching this close, I'm sure Alabama is pushing him to commit. Nebraska, Missouri, Oklahoma are the competitors for Dawson. I love this kid. He's one of my favorites because I love the intangibles kids. Like I said, I talk about it all the time because I think it's just, this is the son of an NFL defensive back coach. He's grown up around pro sports. He's grown up around pro football teams. He's a national top 100 player based on his tangibles, meaning, how good a player he is. He's an outside linebacker. He's not an inside guy. This is a guy that would play the wolf spot at Alabama. Alabama would like to sign 2 wolves in this class, and Dawson Merritt is definitely a tape we would want his commitment. But again, he's from Kansas. The other schools he's considering might be a little closer to home for him. So we'll see. But I think Alabama's in good shape here. I would say that Alabama's got a strong chance at Dawson Merritt, but probably working on getting him to commit. This is a kid that's very likely to make a summer decision.
Well, let's hope he does. And let's go ahead and secure us another linebacker. I was getting worried. We only have 70.
Yeah, keep in mind the guys that have already committed are inside linebackers. Dawson would be the first guy that's committed, projected to play the outside. It is true that Alabama's gone a little crazy in the Costco. I think crazy in the Costco is a great explanation of what's happened inside linebacker. But Alabama needed 3, and 4 would be much better. Right now, they're at 5.
All right. That's going to do it for today's podcast. We'll be back tomorrow with more. Until then, roll tide, everybody.
Roll Tide.